So the fourth, what was that?
Air conditioning.
Oh.
Air conditioning, sounds good to me. And a bit of the fannies would be nice.
But don't you have to do it? How do you set like 8 maybe in that?
Oh, in Australia. Thank you. Say after me, me.
Me.
What did me, me, ma, meant? Negative. Nepa means to stay. Nyamde, do you know that?
Yes.
Nyamde. Number 4, nirvana. Good. Shita, or sita. And then shita. Great, thank you. So not to stay nirvana, samsara edge extreme, peace edge extreme. That's what that means. Okay? Thank you. The fourth and final nirvanas is the nirvana which does not stay in the extreme of the two conditions. That of samsara, that of
Peace.
lower peace, which is the extreme of peace. Yeah, correct, sorry. Lower nirvana. Which means the nirvana of a Buddha. Thank you very much. Okay. What's the difference between that and the other two? What's the definition of nirvana again? Whatever that was, plus what have you eliminated? The obstacles to omniscience and bad thoughts. Yeah? Good. Excellent.
Yeah, the obstacles to omniscience and
Bad thoughts.
bad thoughts.
Yeah. Bad thoughts, negative thoughts.
Okay.
What are the obstacles to omniscience?
What are the obstacles to omniscience? What a good question. The last, we should cover that at some point. Yeah. I just want to get you to the last 10 minutes. I've got these 4 to cover. I don't know the obstacles to omniscience for this class. Okay, so let's cover this next 4 points, please, which is the things you actually need to reach nirvana, which will address some of the questions I had in the break. What's the bottom line? Guys, we learned about what nirvana is. We learned about how to differentiate nirvana. We're talking about nirvana because we're taking refuge about stuff. But what is the point? Yeah, what's the bottom line? What do you need to reach that state? However many bloody ways you want to define it. Yeah, I don't know about you, but it serves me to try and figure out the boundaries of what nirvana is, to think about it in these terms. And I get pulled into a philosophical discussion about this or the other. To what level does it serve me for practice today, in my life today? So let's talk about the bottom line, the 3 things you absolutely, without question, need to reach that state. And this really should have been the majority of the class, so that's why I wanted to hurry. So say dakme, tope, sherab, ki, lapa. Okay, so duck. Do you remember duck from self? Thank you. Good. Me, ma, me, mi, momu. No self. No self. What's no self? What's no self?
No self-existence.
No self, nature, no self-existent, yeah, to the being or to objects. Yeah, good. It has no inherent existence of its own, blah, 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 blah. What's tope? We had that too, didn't we? Realizations. Sherab is wisdom, ki is of, and lape is training. So this is the training in the wisdom realizing emptiness. So if you need, it's things in the spiritual world, things in the world of evolving a mind, a consciousness, are really function at the moment in no different to nominal things. So think of an engine. the Geshe likes to use this idea of an engine. Yeah, you wouldn't dream of making up an engine that didn't have certain parts, pistons, fuel, and the rest. It just wouldn't work. Yeah, so this path, the one we're learning, is like producing an engine. It says you need this part, and you need that part, and you need that part, and you need that part, and you need them in a specific sequence. You can't pour in the petrol first and then put the fuel tank in the car, because then it doesn't work. You need to build the car or the engine in a specific way and then allow the fuel to go in, right? So using that analogy, you wouldn't dare miss out a part of this. And I'm using this as a personal gripe because often I've heard people come up to me and go, oh, I've just learned this from such and such a tradition, and it's just like Buddhism. You know, it's just this part of Buddhism. So I grab a little bit of that, I grab a little bit of that, and I make myself my own beautiful engine, right? And I'm cautious when it comes to my mental real estate. I don't want to screw it up. I'm extremely precious, so I look in detail about the results of a path, and then because of some stuff that's happened to me, I know that I should dedicate myself. If I'm going to have an experience that is beyond this world, I should dedicate myself to a specific path. Yes, I can learn from other areas and the rest, but if I want this type of engine producing this type of result, I better put all the bloody parts of that engine that engine specifically requires. Otherwise, I don't know the result if I decide tinkering with it, because I can't trust my own perceptions already. And I knew that before anybody bloody told me. That's why I was looking. Right? So the reason I bring this up is you need these three things at the bare minimum to create this engine. And the first one is the training of the wisdom realizing emptiness. What does that mean? Think about what that means. It's the third of the three trainings, right? Do you know the three trainings? We'll cover them. So if you don't know what that means, you have to figure it out. If you want to reach that state that is free from suffering, you need to figure out what this thing called emptiness is. What is that wisdom realizing emptiness? There are teachers, there are books, there are beings, but you need to get obsessive compulsive for you to figure it out. What's the code in the matrix? The next one, if you say after me, Lapa, what's Lapa mean? Let's see if you're listening. Huh? Training, good on you. Well, good. Dampo, first. Ni, two of. Ki simpa is under the influence. So you have to, if we follow them in sequence, you have to dakme tongpe, so you have to understand the training in wisdom realizing emptiness under the influence. Doing that, you need to do that under the influence of this fine-tuned the other two of the three trainings, which are morality and wisdom and meditation, and concentration. Yeah, so meditation. So the other two trainings are morality, concentration. So you need to be training yourself in the wisdom realizing emptiness under the influence, under the fine-tuned influence of the first two trainings, that of morality and concentration. But what the hell does that mean for you?
Can you repeat the meaning of that second?
Yeah, sorry, Lape is training, Dampo is first, Ni is two of, Ki Simpa is under the influence. So that is, the translation for that is under the influence of the first two trainings. But what that means is you need to understand the training. You need to going to the training understanding emptiness with morality and concentration as a practice. It is telling you very clearly that you must be meditating and you must be practicing some kind of morality. And I had a problem with morality because I thought God made it up. You know, I thought there were 3 tablets, yeah, with the 15 commandments. Someone dropped one, and then we ended up with 10. And there was something out there that some person was imposing upon me, and that in and of itself made me reject it. Not because there was anything bad about them, just because someone else told me to, I wasn't going to do it. If I'm honest. Yeah, that's what I had the problem with the 10 commandments, if you like. So when I saw in Tibetan Buddhist philosophy someone has this 10 bad deeds, I'm like, that part I put on the shelf, right at the back of the shelf, and I cover it up with all the other stuff. But if you understand the training, the third of the 3 trainings, or the first part of the engine, which is the wisdom realizing emptiness, you know what that means. And if you don't, you're going to have different levels, and you must go and seek it out. You must ask questions, you must get firm about it, you must debate it, you must get to a level of realization, but you can't do that unless you're under the influence, ultimately, of morality and concentration. What that means in a practical term for you guys and for me is you have to have a practice, an understanding of why you're doing a practice of morality at all. Yeah? And then once you get that understanding, and we'll cover it, and we've been covering it, then you've got to be do it like your life depends on it, because it does. So when you see people with their books, the 6 times a day book, writing down, watching their mind, practicing morality, that's what they're doing. They are habituating their mind to break down the false appearance of things by doing a practice on morality, because they understand, they have a conceptual understanding of emptiness. And then concentration. You can't have a direct experience of emptiness unless you're in a deep state of meditation, withdrawn from the senses. Not only that, you can't even maintain the argument with your dad if you haven't at some point, just in a nominal way, withdrawn to your own cocoon, really gone to the sources of what it is that is making all this happen, really begin to study and understand what your matrix is made up of, which is the whole point of sitting down to meditate. Otherwise it's boring, there's no point to it. But you can get to the most sublime and exquisite subtleties of being, that once you do that enough at a regular basis every single day without exception, and you begin with 2 minutes and then 3 minutes and then 5 minutes, and over a year you realize you've really overachieved and you're up to 15 minutes, right? And then you thought, shit, this is not going to take a week. You realize this is going to take a lifetime, and then you're glad for it, because you realize it's the only way you can change your entire existence while everybody else is cycling this world. So then you make meditation a passionate core of who you are, and you become a yogi. You know, you become a thing that it takes ownership about transforming your every subtlety of your experience. Meditation is a tool. When you step out of meditation and you can bring that clarity to the rest of your activity, that's where the karma starts happening. That's where you're planting the seeds upon the blank screen of emptiness that is all that's around us. And then those experiences with wisdom, you've planted a whole bunch of activity, will ripen into the most magnificent or crappy experience that you've ever created. You do 1 or 2 or 3 experiments, and then nobody can steer you off. You see results for action. So the first thing you do is you've got to understand this thing called emptiness. You need to get to that point of the wisdom realizing emptiness. Now don't forget, this is the training of the wisdom realizing emptiness. You don't need to be at any of those 5 paths to begin training on it. You're training right now on it. This is the first part of your engine. And then you need the other two trainings. You need to understand why morality works and why it's important. You need to figure out how you can integrate that into every breath, every movement of mind, and you're not going to do it like that to start with. You started at major events in your life. A crappy thing happens, and then you latch onto it as an opportunity to work with morality.
So when you're along this path, and then the karma from the past deeds that you've done before you've had the realizations, how do you work with
Yeah,
that
it's
towards-
beautiful. But it's exactly what we've been talking about insofar as that you will get schizophrenic at first. Yeah, so you will realize that you've just reacted incorrectly towards something. You'll actually think, if you're practicing well and you've just entered the practice, you'll think you're worse off than you started, because you just have more awareness about all the crappy stuff that's happening in your mind. Yeah? And then you start trying to fix things and you realize, oh, I didn't act correctly about that. I'd screamed back, it's 2 hours later, I shouldn't have screamed. You wouldn't even notice before that you screamed. Yeah? So that's the first thing. And then at some point, once you keep doing that, at some point that gets shorter and shorter and shorter until you realize you're screaming, and halfway through the scream you stop yourself. That's the schizophrenic part. And then you feel the impulse to scream back. And at that point you know that if you scream back, you're just going to create more of the same. Or you have belief, yeah, in that. And so you stop yourself from screaming and hope for the best. And then you think, oh, nice, I did a little practice there. And then over time, you don't even have the impulse to scream. And before you knew it, people around you are saying, wow, you're so happy, life is so nice for you. Why is everybody like you? And how come everything worked out? And you will say to them, it's because I'm so funny. No, that's I needed to put a joke in there because it was getting heavy, people. What's the last one that I haven't done yet? Toxin Gompa. This is an interesting one, right? So this, what's toxin? Realization already. Gompa is habituate or get used to. It's so nice. I don't know if you're hearing what I was supposed to be teaching today, and then if you could hear through the beginning of the class this question on habituation, the questions on how to meditate, the questions. It's so beautiful sitting here and knowing that we're at the right place at the right time. This one is getting used to what you'd already realized about emptiness and habituating the mind. That's what that translates to. This is in the 5 paths, which one? 4th, right? Good. It's the same thing. It's a path of habituation. That's all it is. Yeah? It's habituating your mind. It's getting used to what you've already realized about emptiness by habituating your mind. Now, all of these can either be a goal or can be a path. I don't know where you're at. I really don't know where you're at. I wish deeply that I could, so I could learn. But to whatever level you are at, you've just been given the key to nirvana. For some reason, you're perceiving some dude in a funny accent telling you you've been given the key to your nirvana. It's not my nirvana, it's yours. I had the key, I didn't know. There you go. Yeah, you all of a sudden saw the key and it was always there. And it's to do with these 3 parts of your engine that drives you to that goal. So whatever level of understanding you are at, you need to figure out this emptiness thing. Get obsessive compulsive, make it a project, and then begin to question your reality. What if the way you thought things were not the way things were? Get into the training of realizing emptiness. Correct view. What's the code behind our fake existence? Why is everything turning sour? There's another reason. It's not the stuff we've been told at school. And it's not the stuff that psychologists and people at work, and it's something else, and I can't figure it out for you. And once you figure that out, then you've got to do something about it. There's something to do with morality, and there's something to do with meditation. You've got to say, I need to fix this. And then you need to habituate your mind to that way of looking at the world. And when you do, and you get a few beautiful results, then people can come and say, try this engine or try that engine, and and it's not about calling it Buddhism or Yogi-ism or fluffla-ism. That you also have to get rid of, because if you understand the first or the third training, which is the first of these parts of the engine, labeling it that as a self-existent thing is wrong to start with. It's not Buddhism, not learning Buddhism. You are having an experience forced upon you right now by things you did in the past. Why are you having these experiences? And if you investigate with these tools, you can figure it out. You can actually remove all suffering. Actually, for real. It's incredible. I think that's all I was supposed to teach. No, it wasn't. That's enough. So let's quickly do a dedication. And yeah, have a good weekend. And try and condense whatever realizations you've had or potential realizations you've had, and condense them deep into your heart and carry them with you until we meet again. Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. Does anybody have a stamp?